Harley Quinn returned this week to the HBO Max app for a brand new episode entitled Batman Begins Forever. I'm Cape Joel, and this is a video series where I give my thoughts and feelings on the episode that was, while also shouting out any comic book Easter eggs or references I can find. And oh man, was there a ton of them this week, so let's not waste any time. So then, picking up directly from where last week left off, Harley and Ivy had kidnapped Bruce Wayne in hopes of finding the whereabouts of Frank the Plant. Too bad Bruce Wayne, despite what the two ladies had previously thought, is actually super resistant to many types of torture, meaning if they want to get answers out of him, they're gonna have to get way more creative. Which in turn means reuniting with their old crewmate and betrayer, Dr. Psycho, who since we last saw him seems to be doing quite well for himself as a self-help podcaster. Damn, that is a solid and timely joke. The canonically card-carrying misogynist since the 1940s is now making a living as a podcaster, just like all the real Dr. Psychos of the world. In fact, Psycho only agrees to help Harley if she's willing to be a guest on his show. Also, be sure to freeze frame and look at Psycho's comment section because there's some really great text gags there. I especially like the ones from Bizarro and the other famous Wonder Woman villain Maxwell Lord. It's also just really nice to hear Tony Hale again on the show. I love his back and forth and his voice always cracks me up. I was also totally rolling on the floor too, as instead of the regular Harley Quinn title screen for this episode, we get one modeled after Frasier, which is funny for several reasons. One, Dr. Psycho is basically just doing a Frasier thing, and two, Arlene Sorkin, the original voice of Harley Quinn, used to do a ton of the caller voices on the Frasier show, so what we basically have here is a reference within another reference. Now the plan is simple for the crew to enter Bruce's mind, much like they did to Harley all the way back in Season 1. All the same rules apply too. Don't change anything in a memory, and if you die there, you die in real life. Here's the best part. Bruce Wayne's mind looks exactly like Batman the Animated Series, aka the show that Harley Quinn was born on, right down to the familiar gothic architecture, and even some of the iconic musical stings too. Seriously, hats off, I was in nerd heaven the whole time. Right away though, Harley and company struggle to find any info about Frank because Bruce Wayne's mind is stuck in an endless loop of the night his parents were murdered by Joe Chill in Crime Alley, a fact of which even Harley has to admit is really messed up and really damn sad. Also, A+ bit here too about all the other famous Joes in fiction. Joe Chill, Joe Cool, Joe Camel. And hey, while we're on the subject of Joe Chill, I'm sure other people noticed this too, right? But the purple jacket, the green shirt, the gross distended smile. Do you think the show is trying to do a whole Batman 89 thing without saying it out loud, or am I reading too much into it? Eventually, Harley can't just stand by and watch Bruce have his family murdered before his young eyes over and over again, proof positive that she has very well become a lot more sympathetic to the plight of others since the show began, and she even steps on in to defend him. Unfortunately, doing so ends up putting Bruce's whole brain on lockdown and expelling the crew from there, leaving her trapped with little Bruce and a crazed Joe Chill. In order to escape, the two have to actually go deeper and deeper into Bruce's own mind palace, which leads to a fascinating new dynamic wherein the two have to open up to one another in order to survive. Harley once again remembers that she's an actual psychiatrist and that Bruce is someone who is still in the grips of a terrible personal tragedy, one that he's not coping with well at all. In fact, it's not long before Harley starts seeing other Bruce memories, ones that should be really familiar to longtime Batman fans. We got his parents' grave from The Mask of the Phantasm, we got him fighting the Penguin in the sewers from Batman Returns, even the big bomb bit from the Adam West Batman movie. And why yes, Harley eventually does piece it all together that Bruce Wayne is indeed Batman and that she should probably have seen it all before. Which I particularly love about this segment is that while the show is still very much a comedy and not afraid to poke fun at the sillier aspects of Batman, at the same time, they do show a lot of love and respect for Batman's long media history. In fact, I'd even go as far to say this wonderful tightrope act that the Harley show has been walking so masterfully since the very beginning has basically been the major key to its success. The jokes are that much funnier because we know they're being written by people who like and truly understand the characters they're writing about. The best bits have to be Harley poking holes in Bruce's whole Batman crusade, saying that if he really wanted to stop crime, he might have started with an affordable housing project, you know, stopping crime and criminality at its source, only for the out-of-touch rich kid that is Bruce to not understand that everyone doesn't inherit big mansions from their dead parents. And if that wasn't great enough, after that Harley ends up quantum leaping into the body of one of the Robins. I say one of the Robins because I'm not actually sure which one it is. It's definitely not Dick because this kid has brown hair. Maybe it's Jason? Jason went through a couple hair colors in the comics. Being that this is a flashback she's stuck in also means that newer, more mature, more self-realized Harley can face off against her older, more codependent self, just just to truly showcase how far she's come in 2.5 seasons of television. She even makes a crack about how thick and laid on her accent used to be back in the early days. Funny. Hell, we even get to see Harley and Batman team up to fight old Joker and old Harley, which in its own way builds on what we saw last week with Harley beginning to question whether or not she's really a supervillain anymore. She always assumed being a hero sucked and was boring, but fighting alongside Batman, she's starting to think differently about it. When the specter of Joe Chill finds them again, Harley manages to once more call upon her skills as a doctor and even willingly becomes Bruce's psychiatrist in order to help him overcome his personal demons. In fact, I could be wrong, but I'm pretty damn sure she does EMDR with him, which is an actual real psychological treatment for trauma. The therapy works for a while there too, because Bruce ultimately feels safe enough with Harley to reveal to her why he took Frank the Plant. Essentially, he hoped to do what Ivy was doing, resurrecting dead plant life, only this time he wanted to meld it so it could be used to resurrect humans, namely his parents, Thomas and Martha Wayne. Wow, you know, last week I joked about whether or not the Harley show was ever going to do some sort of Blackest Night zombie story to resurrect dead characters, and just a week later I end up getting vindicated. Not the way I thought I was going to be vindicated, but vindicated nonetheless. It's during the big finale Chill unmasks himself to reveal the face of older Bruce underneath, with the major revelation being that Bruce still very much blames himself for the death of his parents, and that Batman is his own way of self-flagellizing, a sort of penance for what he did years ago that he can never undo. And again, Harley is floored to learn all of this, and it leads to her saying probably the best line of the entire episode, maybe one of the best lines of the entire show, and that is that the way Bruce is living his life isn't healthy at all, and that he needs to learn to forgive himself and move on, because moving on isn't forgetting. And I mean, really, who better to deliver this message than Harley herself? She's moved on so very much from her past and is a much better, more rounded person because of it. The episode actually ends on a pretty damn dark and dire note too, as the crew is now the prisoner of Bruce and the Bat family, who make ready to resurrect his dead parents. Apparently, Bruce never saw the movie Pet Sematary, because if he did, he might have known that sometimes dead is better. And so that was Batman Begins Forever. I don't think I'm going to surprise anyone when I say that this was maybe the best episode of the season, certainly my personal favorite, and maybe one that I think will go down as a classic of the Harley show when we look back on it. The clever way in which the writers find to juxtapose Harley and Bruce's own long histories of trauma and loss were, in my mind, absolutely brilliant, and something I'm shocked the comics have never actually tried to do before. I've stated before that Season 3 really ended up being an Ivy-heavy season, yet it's episodes like this that remind me that Harley still has so much left in the tank and so much further to go as a character and a person, and you know, it's just really great. The episode was also just super funny too, which is an amazing feat in and of itself, because this one also ended up being probably one of the darkest and most mature stories they've told in Harley thus far. Overall, this one is a real winner from start to finish, and with 2 episodes left, I hope they really go hard to try and follow this one up. And with that, everyone, that'll just about do it for me for another video. Thank you as always for watching and listening. Be sure to like, subscribe, favorite, follow me on Twitter so you always know when a new Harley video is dropping. And hey, if you want more fun videos like this in a shorter format, I'm on TikTok now too. So far, I've covered the first 2 episodes of She-Hulk, and I'll be covering the brand new episode of Stargirl later this week.